That new Demon Slayer opening is a bop, and the only way to make Demon Slayer kicking off its brand new arc, the very first episode coming out, only way you can make that better is if you made it a double-length episode. And what did they do? They made it a double-length episode. The show knows how to keep you emotionally invested and devastated. I mean, even if you didn't rewatch the Mugen Train arc in the TV version with the individual cut-up episodes, the fact that they didn't just, jump ahead 4 months, this does have a 4-month time skip after the episode's pretty much over. But they kick it off and they remind you just that Rengoku's death isn't just gonna be forgotten, and we're not gonna touch upon the wish of passing the message to the father and brother, or what it did to these characters. I mean, you don't see Inosuke cry ever, so the fact that it hurt him, I mean, Zensu was honestly the one who held it together the most, which makes sense given he didn't have as much of a connection to Rengoku in those final moments. But still, to see what this episode brought to the table, from seeing the big bad hiding in plain sight as a little boy, I mean, this has me worried, because the Entertainment District arc, or originally known as, I believe, the Red Light District arc, but obviously understand why they changed the name given publications and things like that. But the idea of going into, the land of lust, and I mean, the opening definitely hypes me up for the type of battles and the scenery that we might be able to experience. But this episode, almost kind of similar to what they did for that original episode for the Mugen Train arc at the very beginning, the original episode just kind of getting you set up. That's kind of what this episode felt like. Instead of just jumping into the next arc where the characters trained for 4 months, instead, you saw how, devastated they were. Tanjiro is not going to easily get over something like that. So to have him go and meet the brother and seeing the alcoholic father, I mean, this father, he rubs you the wrong way. And I think he's kind of rubbed us the wrong way ever since we got a taste of him in the last arc. But to see just how, because of his own failures, or feeling like he never lived up to his own potential, always trying to push away Rengoku, who pretty much reminds him of himself, of the failures that he had, and just the fact that he believes the message that was left for him is nothing but criticism. And I'm glad that he actually heard the real message from the brother, because I thought he wasn't. I thought we were just going to leave it as the brother. He understands what the brother meant to him. Rengoku's this amazing person. He knows Rengoku won't be mad that he's not going to carry on with the sword and he's going to break the tradition. But instead he says, take care of yourself, because he's in a spiral worse than anything before. He's always been kind of presented in modern day to us as someone who drinks a lot, who has anger issues, needs anger management, and the fact that he bawled and, for probably the first time in so many years, expressed a healthy emotion, something to let it go, not bearing it, I thought was needed. Don't get me wrong, I was not happy when he hit his son, I was not happy when he badmouthed Rengoku, but it's complicated, this is a very complicated situation, and to see Tanjiro, kind of got his ass beat, but at the same time, also given everything from his own wound to his emotional devastation, I think he held his own as best as he could. And the book was, of course, going to be too good to be true. There's no way he was going to learn as much as we were hoping, but it's interesting about the sun breathing and how the father is talking about how every form of techniques is almost just an imitation and a weaker version of the original. And it's interesting because, clearly there's always been something different about his father, and when Tanjiro has sort of used it, almost he even says in this episode, he doesn't really have control of his body when he's activated. It's more of just things happen, so he needs to get stronger, and seeing the 4 months that they train day in and day out, it was great. That's exactly what you want to see. If this would have been split into 2 episodes, the flow would have been broken for sure. Honestly, had they not been able to do a double-length episode, I feel like we wouldn't have gotten the pacing we saw here, because this is a very steady episode. It really doesn't kick into high gear until the final few minutes. It's a nice, steady build-up, seeing how devastated characters are, how they're picking themselves back up, and they're trying anew. And then to get into that high gear, to see okay, we're getting a kidnapping, what's Tengen doing here? Of course he can't really be kidnapping, right? That's not what this show's all about. But it was hilarious, because you can't just have the characters be depressed. That's not who they are as people. Had this happen at the very beginning of this episode, a week after Rengoku's death, yeah, it would have felt out of place. But they established, it was 4 months, right? They were training for a while, so of course, naturally, they could go back to being goofy. And they sprinkled the goofy throughout it, which Demon Slayer has always done a good job at, not making you constantly feel depressed, but knowing when to sprinkle in that comedic relief where it counts. And I love that kind of end scene because he's like, hey, I need females for this mission, not even realizing who he's taking. Like one makes sense, but the other is like one of those little ones there. And I'm just like, this man he's just like not even aware of what's going down. And immediately I knew why you need females, because they're going to be invading the entertainment districts and probably going to deal with prostitution and probably invading, probably uncovering who's the mastermind. And the fact that he was okay, like saying, okay, I need females, but I guess you three will do okay. I mean, I'm going to be curious to see how they're going to compensate for what his original plan was going to be. But if the opening has anything to give us, it seems like there's going to be a few side characters on the female side who might be attached to this cast that we haven't met yet, which would be pretty interesting. But overall, like, I mean, I know some people were like, oh, we gotta wait so long for the new arc of Demon Slayer to kick off, but I mean, it's not a big deal. I mean, it's gonna be good, it's gonna be polished, it's gonna be refined, and if you wanted to rewatch the Mugen Train arc, I mean, it was a great rewatch, I found anyway. And now to finally be into this new one, and seeing, Akaza of all characters, who, comparing how we felt about him, pissed off, and just like, holy shit, he's so powerful, he took care of Rengoku. And the fact that he got disciplined because that should just be natural. You should be able to kill any human. You are pathetic. You haven't found me this Lily I'm after. And the fact that you think that's worthy of praise that you took down a Hashira, absolutely disgusting. Like, he almost died for disappointing this man. The fact that the person who made us so devastated, who seemed so powerful, who took care of one of the most powerful characters we've come to experience. Honestly, from what we've seen in terms of the anime, not what we've heard, what we've seen animated, Rengoku was the most devastating on the protagonist side. And the fact that the person who took his life was disciplined and nearly killed because he wasn't living up to expectation shows us, once again, how far Tanjiro and company have to go. And that's honestly disturbingly frightening but exciting. I swear to God, I mean, I'm already loving Tengen. I swear to God, if every arc after this is just like, hey, we're gonna make sure you love this new character before killing them in a brutal fashion, oh my God, I'm not gonna be able to have any emotions by the time Demon Slayer officially ends whenever we get the last arc. The show is just so good. It's a steady build. It knows when to take it slow. It knows when to be action-packed. And it knows when to be goofy too, but I'm glad the characters express genuine destruction within their own psyche because they should. And it was kind of refreshing to see Zensu kind of hold it together the best out of the three of them, because usually in his case just the loudmouth angry boy, Zensu's kind of like the crybaby who doesn't know how to deal with anything, and then Tanjiro is kind of Tanjiro. He's kind of the mix of every sort of emotion. So it was really interesting to kind of like have Zensu be the most, I think, kind of like wingman in the situation of picking them back up and saying, you know what, we got this, boys, let's go train, which I really enjoyed. I mean, Demon Slayer, I have no idea how long this arc is going to be, given the fact that they wanted to kick it off in December. I have a suspicion that it might be like 16 episodes or something, because typically a core runs for 3 months, and if it's going to be carrying into January, I don't see them stopping it in February or something. I mean, maybe, I have no idea how long the arc is. If you have any assumptions of how long the episodes might be in terms of how many it's going to go for, I'd definitely love to know, because my assumption is going to be like 15 to 16, or maybe even 18. It's going to be an odd number, I feel like, but if you have any ideas, definitely let me know down below, and also what you thought of this incredible episode. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.